I knew something was wrong the moment my morning routine cracked. Usually, Clara's name lit up my phone before I even got out of bed, some sarcastic meme, a sleepy, morning, idiot, or one of her never-ending lists of things I always forgot to buy. But this morning, nothing. When I scrolled through my messages, I saw the gray block of emptiness, user not found. Instagram, blocked. I checked WhatsApp, blocked. Even my number. Straight to voicemail, like my voice no longer deserved to exist in her world. My stomach dropped as I sat there, phone heavy in my hand. 3 years together. 3 years of inside jokes, of plans, of building each other up. And now, she erased me like I was some temporary glitch. At work, the company's glossy lobby felt colder than usual. The elevator mirrors mocked me with my wrinkled shirt and hollow eyes. I kept asking myself the same questions on repeat. Did I mess up? Did I forget something important? Or did Clara just get bored? By noon, the office buzz was deafening. I slipped into the break room to grab coffee, but that's when I froze. I heard his voice first. Smooth, confident, too loud to ignore. Victor Chen. Rising star in the marketing division. He had that practiced charisma, shoes polished to a mirror, hair never out of place, the kind of guy people gathered around like moths to a spotlight. And then her voice. Clara. Don't worry, Victor, she whispered, laughing softly, Daniel doesn't suspect a thing. Her words slammed into me like a punch. I didn't move, didn't breathe. I just stood by the doorway, coffee cup trembling in my grip, praying I'd misheard. But then Victor replied, his tone dripping with self-satisfaction. He doesn't need to. You're with me now, Clara. We'll make a hell of a pair at the gala. My insides twisted. My girlfriend, the woman who once swore she wanted a life with me, was now tangled up with my office rival. I stumbled back before they could see me, retreating into the hallway. My legs felt like rubber, but adrenaline carried me to my desk. I sat there, staring blankly at my computer screen, trying to process the scene that kept replaying in my head. When I finally gathered the nerve to check the shared company mail, fate dealt the final blow. You are cordially invited to Sinclair Corp's annual gala. I scanned the guest list, heart hammering. And there it was in black and white. Victor Chen, guest, Clara Monroe. The world around me blurred, the words burning into my skull. She hadn't just left me, she'd chosen him. My rival. My replacement. I shut my laptop before anyone could see the tears threatening to crack my facade. My hands clenched tight, knuckles white. 3 years erased. My love was replaced. And for the first time, I realized, I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious. The days after discovering Clara's betrayal blur together, but the nights are the worst. That's when the memories creep in, when the silence in my apartment grows too loud, and I'm left alone with ghosts I can't shake. I see her face everywhere. Clara in my dorm room at 2 in the morning, legs tangled in a blanket, scribbling future plans on sticky notes like they were sacred contracts. You'll land that internship, Danny, she'd say, tossing a crumpled note at me with a grin. And then we'll move into a real place, no more ramen every night. Promise. She always believed in me when I didn't. When I almost chickened out of applying to Sinclair Corp, the very company where my dad had once worked before the heart attack cut his career short, it was Clara who filled out the application for me. I still remember her voice. You're Hayes' blood, Danny. Your dad would want you to try. He'd want you to stand where he once stood. Those words hooked deep inside me. My father never got his chance to rise at Sinclair. He was a quiet man, content with the steady rhythm of his cubicle, but I knew he carried dreams he never spoke aloud. His death left those dreams unfinished, and somewhere along the way, I decided it was my duty to carry them. To make something of myself inside these walls. Sinclair Corp isn't just a company to me, it's a legacy. A promise. And Clara. Clara was supposed to be part of that legacy. She was the one who sat beside me in the library when I studied case studies until dawn. The one who kissed me outside the interview room and whispered, "You've got this." The one who clapped like a lunatic when I told her I got the internship. Now she's the one laughing with Victor in the break room, slipping into the gala on his arm. The betrayal isn't just romantic. It's personal. Clara was woven into my ambitions, into the very idea of who I wanted to become. She knew how much this company meant to me. She knew it wasn't just about a paycheck. It was about carrying my father's memory forward, about proving that his son could break ceilings he never had the chance to. And yet, she chose Victor. I lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, anger and grief tightening in my chest. Maybe Clara thinks she can rewrite my story, erase me, replace me with someone flashier, someone who shines in every room he walks into. But she doesn't get to decide that. I can still hear my dad's voice in my head, calm and steady, "Do the work, Danny. Keep your head down, but your heart forward." So that's what I'll do. Clara may have walked away, but my path doesn't end here. It begins again. The conference room smells faintly of burnt coffee and fresh toner, two things that already make my stomach churn. I grip the edge of the long oak table as my manager flips through the agenda, but my eyes are on the door. And then they walk in. Victor Chen, wearing that sharp gray suit that looks like it was stitched to his skin, and Clara Monroe, in a black pencil skirt I'd bought her for her last birthday. She doesn't look at me. Not even a glance. She keeps her chin lifted, her eyes fixed on the stack of folders in her arms like I'm nothing more than part of the office furniture. Victor, on the other hand, spots me instantly. His smirk widens just enough for me to notice, not enough for anyone else to call it out. He places a guiding hand on Clara's back as if staking a claim, and something inside me twists. I force my attention back to my laptop screen, fingers hovering over the keyboard. Professional. Detached. That's what I have to be. The presentation starts. Our task: pitch a rebranding campaign for one of Sinclair's oldest clients. I'd burned through nights pulling together concepts, but now Victor is the one standing at the front of the room, clicking through slides. My slides. Credit to the team, of course, he says smoothly, eyes landing on me for half a second. But some of us had to polish a few rough edges. A couple of colleagues chuckle. My throat burns, but I bite back every word that rises. Clara sits beside him, nodding at the right times, jotting notes with her neat handwriting. She doesn't defend me. She doesn't even blink. It's like I've been erased. As Victor goes on, weaving my ideas into his golden tongue, I can feel the weight of Clara's silence pressing against me harder than any of his jabs. I remember nights she used to help me brainstorm, her laughter filling the air as she tossed ridiculous slogans at me just to keep me awake. And now, she won't even look my way. I clench my fists under the table, nails digging crescents into my palms. Fine. Let them play their little performance. Let them take the spotlight for now. But this company means more to me than it ever will to Victor. He's chasing applause. I'm chasing a legacy. And I'll be damned if I let either of them derail me. As the meeting wraps up, Victor's eyes meet mine again, gleaming with the kind of triumph only he feels. Clara gathers her things quickly, slipping out before I can even rise. I stay seated, staring at the blank white screen of the projector, and make myself a silent vow. You can take her, Victor. You can take credit, the spotlight, the smug little laughs. But you won't take this company from me. Not my father's legacy. Not my future. The ballroom hums with nervous energy, the kind of buzz you only get at a product launch. Velvet drapes frame the stage, and the Sinclair Corp logo gleams from the giant screen like a crown jewel. It should have been a proud moment for me, our campaign, my strategy, months of sketches and late nights brought to life. But I know better. Because standing center stage, microphone in hand, is Victor Chen. Ladies and gentlemen, he begins, voice smooth as silk, tonight we unveil not just a product, but a revolution in brand identity. The crowd leans in. Investors, journalists, Sinclair executives, they all eat it up. I recognize the graphics flashing across the screen. The taglines. The customer journey models. My fingerprints are on every detail. And yet, not once does Victor mention me. I stand in the wings, badge clipped to my suit, heart pounding. When he unveils the final campaign slogan, the one I'd spent days perfecting, I feel my stomach knot. My words, my idea, delivered with his smug smile. The audience erupts into applause, and Victor takes a shallow bow, soaking in the praise that should have been mine. And then Clara laughs. She's in the front row beside him, her smile wide, her hands clapping harder than anyone else's. At one point, she leans toward a colleague and says loud enough for me to catch, "Victor really outdid himself, didn't he?" Her laughter slices through me sharper than any insult. Humiliation floods my veins. The sting of betrayal burns fresh, raw, as if I'm watching a private wound displayed on the company's biggest stage. My chest tightens, but I keep my face neutral. No one here will see me break. When the applause dies and the crowd scatters for champagne, I slip out the side door. The cool night air hits my lungs like ice, but it's not enough to smother the fire churning inside me. Victor can have this launch. He can have the claps and the headlines, even Clara's arm hooked in his. But this company, this legacy, will never belong to him. I head straight home, ignoring every ping of congratulatory messages lighting up my phone. I toss my tie onto the couch, pull out my notebook, and flip to a blank page. My pen scratches furiously across the paper, fueled not by bitterness but by clarity. If Victor wants to steal ideas, let him. I'll create something better, something undeniable. And I know exactly who I'm going to show it to, Eleanor Sinclair herself. The CEO. The woman who built this empire with her own hands. The one person who'll recognize authenticity when she sees it. I lean back, staring at the mess of sketches and concepts spilling across my desk. My humiliation still burns, but it's tempered now by resolve. Victor thinks tonight was his victory. He didn't realize it was just the beginning of mine. The town hall isn't supposed to be hostile. It's meant to be a corporate theater, updates from the top brass, a few pep talks, a slideshow of smiling employees holding trophies for team excellence. But today, the air feels sharp, like the whole building knows what's coming before I do. The auditorium fills with the shuffling of papers and the clink of coffee cups. Executives take their seats in the front row, and somewhere near the center, I spot Clara, perfectly poised in her tailored blazer. She leans in close to Victor, whispering something that makes his grin widen. When the floor opens for questions, I can feel my pulse in my throat. My hand goes up before I can stop myself. Daniel Hayes, marketing, I say into the mic, my voice steadier than my shaking hands. I'd like to address something about the recent product launch campaign. Heads turn. Victor sits back, smug as if this is entertainment. I force the words out, each one heavy with the weight of sleepless nights. The concepts Victor presented weren't his alone. They were mine. Weeks of strategy, drafts, and prototypes, I created those. And I deserve to be recognized for my work. The room stiffens. A few people shift in their seats. Victor chuckles into his mic, shaking his head like I'm a child throwing a tantrum. Daniel, we all contribute. That's what teamwork looks like. If you're upset about how credit gets shared, maybe this isn't the right environment for you. A ripple of laughter spreads across the rows. And then Clara's voice, sweet but sharp enough to cut. Honestly, Daniel, this is embarrassing. Victor worked harder than anyone I've seen. You sound bitter. Jealous, even. Her words sting worse than the laughter. I look at her, really look at her. And for a split second, I see the girl who once wrote my resume for me, who kissed me outside this very building when I got the internship. Now she stares at me like I'm dirt under her shoes. The humiliation is complete. My ears ring, my palms sweat, but somewhere in the crowd, a different gaze holds mine. Eleanor Sinclair. The CEO herself. Calm, calculating, her eyes sharp like she's studying a puzzle no one else can see. She doesn't smile, doesn't laugh. She just watches. When the meeting adjourns, I slip toward the back exit, desperate to vanish. But a voice stops me. Daniel. I turn. Eleanor stands there, tall in her navy suit, every inch of her radiating authority. I'd like you to come by my office, she says, voice even. You've got fire. I want to hear your perspective without the noise. For the first time that day, my chest expands with something other than shame. I nod, words caught in my throat. Maybe Victor won the room. Maybe Clara won the laughs. But Eleanor Sinclair just noticed me. And that feels like a real victory. It's just past midnight when my phone buzzes against the nightstand. I'm half asleep, caught in that strange space where dreams blur into memory. I reach for it, expecting an email alert or some app notification. But it's her. Clara. For a moment, I just stare at her name glowing on the screen. After weeks of silence, after the humiliation of the town hall, she finally decides to appear. My thumb hovers over the screen longer than I'd like to admit before I open her message. Danny, can we talk? My chest tightens at the nickname. She always called me Danny when she wanted me to be soft, pliable. I type back before I can stop myself. What could you possibly have to say? The dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Then finally. Victor pressured me into all of this. I didn't want to cut you out. He made me. I laugh, bitter and low, in the dark of my apartment. Convenient. When she's standing on stage beside him, she's radiant, untouchable. But now, when the lights are off, suddenly she's the victim. Another message comes through. I miss you. I miss us. We don't have to tell anyone, we can still be together, just quietly. I need you, Danny. The words sting in a different way. Not because I believe them, but because once upon a time, I would have. I would have driven across the city right now, forgiven her without a second thought, just to feel her hand in mine again. But now, I can see it clearly. She's not reaching out because of love. She's reaching out because she's scared. Scared of Victor's ambition, scared of being left behind if his rise swallows her whole. I'm her safety net, her backup plan. And I won't be that. Not anymore. I type slowly, each word deliberate. You chose him. You made that choice in front of everyone. Don't rewrite it now. Whatever we had is over. The typing dots flicker for a long time before vanishing. No reply. I set the phone down and lean back against the pillow. My hands are shaking, but my chest feels lighter than it has in weeks. For the first time since she blocked me, I'm not the one left hanging. I closed the door. The photo hits the office like a storm. It starts with hushed whispers near the elevators, then bursts into full-on chatter by the time I make it to my desk. Screens glow across the floor with the same image, Clara and Victor, arm in arm at some luxury beach resort, champagne glasses raised, her head tilted against his chest. The caption, posted by one of Victor's sycophants. Power couple getaway palm tree # Sinclair strong # next gen leaders. The comments drip with approval. They're perfect together. Corporate royalty in the making. My jaw tightens. For weeks, Clara's betrayal had lived in shadows, half whispers and stolen glances. Now it's broadcasted, polished and posed, a public declaration that she chose him. The worst part? No one's surprised. At the coffee machine, I overhear two analysts gossiping. Did you see Clara and Victor? Damn. She upgraded, huh? Poor Hayes. Bet he didn't see that one coming. Their laughter grates, but I don't flinch. I won't give them that satisfaction. Inside, the anger simmers hot and steady. But beneath it, something else flickers. A strange, unexpected sense of release. The photo is proof, final and undeniable. No more questions, no more false hope. Clara's not mine. She hasn't been for a long time. And if she's standing beside Victor, then fine, let her. They can keep each other. I bury myself in my work, sharper and more focused than ever. While others scroll through gossip, I refine strategy decks, polish campaign notes, chase down market insights. Late nights don't feel heavy anymore, they feel purposeful. Eleanor notices. Hayes, she says one evening, stopping by my desk as most of the office clears out. Her presence is calm but commanding, the kind that makes everyone else sit up straighter. You've been putting in the hours. More than most. I shrug, trying to hide the heat in my cheeks. I just want to make sure my work speaks for itself. Her eyes narrow, like she can see right through me. It does. But it's not just the hours. You've got fire in your work. I can use that. She leaves without another word, but it's enough to spark something in me. Victor may have Clara. He may have the spotlight. But I have something he'll never touch, Eleanor's attention, her respect. And with that, a door begins to crack open. For the first time since Clara blocked me, I feel like I'm not just surviving. I'm moving forward. The folder in my hands feels heavier than paper should. Weeks of late nights, half-eaten dinners, and scribbled notes condensed into a proposal sharp enough to cut. It's mine, every slide, every line, every piece of strategy. No Victor. No Clara. Just me. Eleanor Sinclair's office is a cathedral of glass and steel, perched high above the city. The skyline stretches out behind her like an empire she built brick by brick. She sits at her desk, poised and unreadable, while I set my folder down with hands that refuse to stop shaking. Mr. Hayes, she says, eyes flicking to the clock, you asked for 20 minutes. You've got 15. My throat tightens, but I nod. This is it. The chance to carve my own path. I walk her through the campaign idea, each word steadying me. The rebrand, the market positioning, the digital rollout plan, it all pours out like I've rehearsed it 1,000 times, because I have. I can't tell if Eleanor is impressed or bored, her face is carved from marble. Halfway through, the door bursts open. Victor strides in without knocking, Clara trailing behind him like a shadow. His smirk widens when he sees me standing there. Sorry to interrupt, Eleanor, he says smoothly, but I think you'd prefer to hear this pitch from the team lead. Daniel's still, finding his footing. Clara lets out a little laugh, soft but sharp. It cuts the room in half. For a moment, the air sticks in my lungs. The old me would have folded, stepped back, let Victor dominate. But not this time. With respect, I say, forcing my voice calm, this is my proposal. Every page, every strategy point, it's my work. And I believe it deserves to be heard. Eleanor's eyes flick between us, cool and assessing. Continue, Mr. Hayes. Victor tries to interject twice more, throwing in smug comments about feasibility and market data, but I don't break stride. Each interruption only steals me further. By the time I click to the final slide, my voice is clear, unshaken. I close the laptop. Silence stretches. Finally, Eleanor leans back in her chair. For the first time, the faintest curve of a smile touches her lips. Well done, she says simply. This shows initiative, drive, and most importantly, ownership. She stands, crossing to the window, her silhouette sharp against the city lights. Victor, Clara, you may go. I'll speak with Mr. Hayes privately. Victor stiffens, his jaw tightening, but he doesn't argue. Clara gives me one last look, unreadable, before following him out. The door shuts, and the room is mine again. Eleanor turns, her gaze heavy. You've got potential, Daniel. Raw, but real. I want you closer to my office. Effective immediately, you'll serve as my executive assistant. You'll learn, and you'll prove whether you can handle more. The words land like a thunderclap. Executive assistant. Not an errand boy, this is proximity to power, to decision-making, to the seat everyone in this company secretly worships. Yes, ma'am, I say, voice thick with something between gratitude and disbelief. Good, she replies, already reaching for another file. Then let's begin. I stepped out of her office minutes later, the skyline still etched in my mind. Victor is waiting down the hall, Clara beside him. He searches my face for weakness, for humiliation. Instead, I let a small smile tug at the corner of my lips. He wanted to sabotage me. But all he did was push me closer to the top. And now, I'm not just surviving Sinclair Corporation. I'm becoming a threat. My first week as Eleanor Sinclair's executive assistant feels like stepping onto another planet. The floors are quieter up here, no frantic clatter of keyboards, no idle gossip by the vending machines. Just the soft hum of filtered air, the click of expensive heels on marble, and the low murmur of conversations that decide the future of the company. Every day starts earlier, ends later, and leaves me somewhere between exhausted and electrified. I'm no longer just an intern scribbling notes in the back row, I'm in meetings with division heads, sitting across from people whose signatures can move millions. It's intimidating. But it's also intoxicating. Eleanor doesn't coddle me. She tosses reports onto my desk like grenades and expects me to disarm them by morning. Don't just summarize, she says one afternoon, sharp eyes pinning me in place. Interpret. Anticipate. That's how you stop being a clerk and start being an operator. I learn fast, or at least, I try to. My notebook fills with sketches of workflows, bullet points of mistakes to never repeat, and questions I'm too afraid to ask twice. And then, one afternoon, she calls me into her office and gestures toward a woman already seated at the round table. Daniel, meet Olivia Grant, Strategy Division, Chicago Branch. She'll be consulting with us for the next quarter. Olivia stands, hand outstretched. She's a contrast to Eleanor in every way, warm smile, light in her eyes, the kind of presence that makes a room feel less suffocating. Her handshake is firm, but her tone is easy. Eleanor says you're the new rising star. Looks like I've got competition. I flush, stumbling over a response. I think rising might be generous. Mostly I'm just trying not to drown. She laughs, and it's genuine. That's what everyone says at first. You'll find your rhythm. And if you need someone to bounce ideas off of, I've got a pretty good track record of surviving Sinclair politics. For the first time in weeks, I feel the knot in my chest loosen. Maybe I don't have to claw through this place alone. But even as I settle into this new rhythm, shadows trail me. I can feel Clara's gaze, even if she's not in the room. It starts with little things, a scene notification on a professional forum where I'd posted an article summary, a too quick glance from across the cafeteria when our schedules accidentally overlap. Once, I catch her hovering by Eleanor's floor, pretending to chat with someone from HR, her eyes flicking toward me like she can't believe I'm actually here, in this space she probably thought I'd never reach. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't have to. The shock on her face says it all. I rise earlier now, stay later, study harder, not just to prove myself to Eleanor, but because I know Clara's watching. And every step I take upward is a reminder that she bet on the wrong man. Still, when I fall asleep at my desk some nights, the pen slipping from my hand, a quiet thought lingers: maybe this rise isn't just about revenge anymore. Maybe, for the first time, it's about me. And that realization feels like the start of something bigger than I ever imagined. The gala hall gleams like money itself, crystal chandeliers dripping light over polished marble, champagne flutes clinking against the low hum of deal-making disguised as small talk. I've been to company mixers before, but this is different. This is the kind of room where careers are minted or buried depending on who notices you. I stand near the edge of the crowd, nursing a glass of sparkling water, watching Eleanor glide from cluster to cluster like a queen inspecting her court. Olivia's somewhere across the room, already deep in conversation with a board member twice her age and twice her arrogance. I'm rehearsing my own elevator pitch in my head when a familiar voice cuts through the music. Daniel? I freeze. Slowly, I turn. Clara. She's dressed in midnight silk, hair cascading over her shoulders, smile soft and sharp all at once. For a second, my chest tightens with the reflex of old memories, dinners on campus lawns, late-night whispers about the future, the way her hand once felt like home in mine. But then I remember the block, the laughter at my expense, the smug way she stood beside Victor while my career crumbled. And the warmth inside me curdles. Clara, I say evenly, my voice steadier than I feel. She steps closer, her perfume curling through the air, sweet and dangerous. You've changed. New suit. New presence. Her eyes linger on me, assessing, almost admiring. I like it. I take a step back, creating just enough distance to remind us both this isn't what it used to be. It comes with the job. She tilts her head, feigning coyness. And what a job it must be, Eleanor's right hand. That's impressive. You always drove. Her fingers brush the rim of her champagne glass, deliberate, as if the gesture itself were a lure. I can't help but wonder. Do you ever miss us? What did we have? The question hits like a sucker punch. For a flicker of a moment, I see the Clara I once knew, the girl who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. But the illusion burns away, leaving only the version who traded me for ambition wrapped in Victor's smile. I don't miss being lied to, I reply, low but firm. Her smile falters, just slightly, before she recovers with a soft laugh. Victor can be demanding. You know how he is. I don't answer. I won't give her the satisfaction of opening that wound. Instead, I scan the room, and that's when I see him. Victor, standing by the bar, his jaw tight, his drink untouched. His eyes lock on us, and for the first time in weeks, the mask slips. There's no smirk, no swagger, just jealousy simmering hot enough to burn through glass. Clara follows my gaze, then leans in, her voice barely above a whisper. He doesn't own me, you know. I straighten my tie, my hands steady now. Then prove it. By staying out of my way. Her lips part, but no words come out. I leave her standing there, the music swelling behind me as I cross the room to join Eleanor and Olivia. As I walk, I feel Victor's stare drilling into my back. His empire feels less untouchable now, like maybe the cracks are finally starting to show. And me? For the first time, I don't feel like a betrayed intern anymore. I feel like someone who belongs in this room. It happens on a Thursday morning, the day Victor finally lets his mask slip. I'm in Eleanor's office, sorting through a binder of quarterly projections, when the company chat explodes with pings. A leaked email thread. Victor's name all over it. I scroll through the messages, my pulse quickening. He tried to discredit me. Forwarded parts of my proposal to an external contact, stripping my name from the documents, and called me an overeager intern playing pretend in executive clothes. By itself, maybe he thought it was clever sabotage. But in the leak, it's paired with his string of complaints about colleagues, thinly veiled insults aimed at Eleanor herself, and one line that makes the entire office hold its breath. Sinclair's losing her edge. Someone has to be bold enough to replace her. The air in the building changes instantly. Corridors buzz with whispers. Phones vibrate with screenshots. And by noon, Victor Chen isn't the rising star anymore, he's a liability. I watch him storm past Eleanor's office, his face flushed, Clara hurrying after him like a shadow chasing a fire it can't contain. Her voice carries faintly down the hall. Victor, you can fix this, we can fix this. Just, don't make it worse. He doesn't slow down. For a moment, I just stand there, caught between the satisfaction of seeing him stumble and the hollow ache of knowing Clara is still tethered to his downfall. Once, she was my anchor. Now, she's drowning with someone else. Eleanor calls me in. She's calm, but her eyes glitter with cold fire. This is what happens when ambition runs faster than judgment, she says, closing the leaked printouts with a snap. Remember it. I nod, and something inside me settles. My priorities are no longer about Clara or even Victor, they're about proving myself to the woman who runs this empire. That night, as I stayed up late compiling a risk assessment report Eleanor asked for, I caught a glimpse of my father's old watch on my wrist. The leather band is cracked, the face scratched, but it grounds me. He once worked these same halls, chasing dreams of stability for his family. He never made it to the executive floor. But I did. And I'm not wasting it. When I finally shut off my computer and the office is quiet except for the city breathing beyond the glass, I whisper the words I never said to him enough while he was alive. I'll make you proud, Dad. For the first time, it doesn't feel like a desperate promise. It feels like a plan already in motion. It's strange how quickly the world rearranges itself. Just a month ago, I was an intern rehearsing introductions in the bathroom mirror. Now I'm walking into meetings where people I used to idolize stop mid-conversation to greet me by name. Eleanor's executive circle isn't warm in the traditional sense. There are no hugs, no sloppy late-night pizza runs like with college friends, but it feels like a family nonetheless. A sharper one. Every conversation is barbed with strategy, every joke half-coded in politics, but they respect me. They respect my work. Olivia makes sure I don't get swallowed alive. Take notes, Daniel, she whispers during one lunch, sliding her salad toward me like we're conspiring. The way Eleanor maneuvers these directors. That's power without lifting her voice. And I do take notes. Not just on paper, but in my head, in my bones. Every gesture, every phrasing, every way Eleanor can silence a room by setting down her glass just so, I absorb it. Meanwhile, the office currents shift against Victor. Once he held court with his own little circle of ambitious hangers-on. But now, when he enters a room, conversations dip. Smiles tighten. He's still here, but his empire has shrunk to whispers and wary glances. I don't need to sabotage him. He's unraveling on his own. And Clara. Clara hovers at the edges, a ghost haunting spaces where she no longer belongs. I see her sometimes at the cafeteria, tray in hand, alone at a corner table where once she'd sat laughing with me, with us. Once she tried to catch my eye, but I let the moment pass like a stranger brushing by in the subway. There's a pang when I see her like that, lonely, brittle, but it's not longing anymore. It's recognition. We're not the same people we were in those dorm nights, dreaming over cheap wine and takeout boxes. She chose her path. I've chosen mine. Late one evening, as the last of the board files out, Eleanor pauses by my desk. You've adapted quickly, she says. I swallow, meeting her gaze. I've had good teachers. Her lips curve, not quite a smile, more a signal. Keep your head clear, Hayes. You're building something worth more than revenge. After she leaves, I sit in the quiet office, the city lights painting the glass walls gold. For the first time in a long time, I don't feel like I'm chasing after something I lost. I feel like I've finally found where I belong. I thought nothing Eleanor Sinclair could do would surprise me anymore. I was wrong. The announcement came at the quarterly shareholder meeting, of all places. The room was heavy with anticipation, directors in their tailored suits, investors checking their watches, when Eleanor rose with her glass of champagne. Before we begin, she said, her voice carrying that cool authority that makes everyone lean in, I'd like to share some personal news. Effective immediately, I am engaged to Daniel Hayes. The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the clatter of cutlery against glass. I sat frozen in my chair, pulse hammering in my throat. Eleanor didn't flinch. She let the noise roll over her like a tide before continuing. This is not only a personal choice, she added, eyes sweeping the room, but a strategic one. Mr. Hayes has proven his loyalty, his brilliance, and his integrity. With Victor Chen's recent indiscretions, Sinclair Corp needs stability. We stand stronger together. As partners. Partners. The word struck me harder than fiancé. I realized then what she'd done, shielded me from Victor's endless sabotage by elevating me to a place he could no longer touch. Not an intern. Not an assistant. But someone tied, directly, to the seat of power itself. The meeting staggered forward after that, but I heard little of it. Every glance burned against my skin, every whisper felt like a storm circling my name. That night, in the dim glow of the company's rooftop garden, Clara found me. Her eyes were swollen, rimmed red. "Tell me it's not true," she whispered. "Tell me Eleanor's using you, that this isn't real." I looked at her, the girl who once promised forever over takeout noodles, who blocked me like I was disposable, who laughed at me when Victor stood taller. Now she trembled before me, desperate, undone. "Clara," I said, steady, "you made your choice." Tears streaked down her face. I was scared. Victor, he pushed, and I thought he was the future. "But you," her hand reached for mine, trembling. "I still love you. We can fix this." For a moment, the ghost of who we'd been flickered in my chest. But then I saw the truth, the desperation wasn't love. It was fear. Fear of losing her place, of being left behind. I pulled my hand away. "You didn't love me enough to stand by me when it mattered. And now? It's too late." Her sob cracked the night air, sharp and hollow. She turned, stumbling back into the shadows, leaving me alone beneath the skyline. I let out a long breath, the city lights reflecting off Eleanor's ring on my finger, a symbol that was half strategy, half future, and all mine now. For the first time since Clara blocked me, I felt the weight of her vanish completely. This wasn't just revenge. This was a rebirth. The boardroom doesn't intimidate me anymore. Once, I would have lingered outside these doors, rehearsing every word, every breath, terrified of saying the wrong thing. Now, I stride in with my shoulders squared, Eleanor at my side, my notes crisp and my vision sharp. The room quiets when she enters, but their eyes always flicker to me, too. Not as an intern. Not as the betrayed boyfriend, but as someone who belongs here. Her fiancé. It still feels strange, that word, but not in the way I expected. It isn't just a shield against Victor's schemes, it's a signal. A declaration that I've been reborn in the fire of betrayal and come out tempered, sharper, steadier. If Clara hadn't blocked me, I wouldn't be here. That's simple. Her silence forced me into my own. Her betrayal carved open the space where I could finally find myself. And now, looking back, I don't feel anger anymore. Just distance. My phone buzzes sometimes late at night, her name lighting up the screen with fragments of apologies, please, memories, I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we talk? I never answer. Her words fade like echoes in an empty room, irrelevant against the roar of everything I'm building now. I glance down at my father's old watch as Eleanor begins the meeting, the leather strap worn but holding strong. I think of him, of how he once walked these same halls with dreams bigger than his position allowed. I carry those dreams now, not as his son chasing a shadow, but as a man carving his own path. The voices around the boardroom table rise and fall, deals being sketched in real time, futures being rewritten. I lean forward, add my own piece to the conversation, and for the first time, no one looks surprised. I belong here. When the meeting ends, Eleanor rests a hand lightly on my arm as we leave. No words, just acknowledgement, partnership. And as the doors close behind us, I know, I am no longer the man begging for Clara's attention in the ruins of a blocked call. I am Daniel Hayes, fiancé to the CEO, heir to my own ambition, a future entirely my own.